represent and what you exude through your work that just really stands out. And it seems like you're in your own lane. And there's something about it that empowers a lot of us who follow your work. And we can just tell you are very aware of who you are. And there's a love that you have for yourself and your work. That is just something we really want to tap into today and dissect a little bit, if that's okay. Are you guys ready? Yeah. Are you ready? Awesome. Okay. The first question, I just want you to state who you are, a little bit about what you do, your career, and how you got there.
I guess I'll start. I go by Fern, but I have different aliases. I'm Fern Gully on Instagram. In dance, I go by Knives. And I'm also known as Sneaker Bae because I collect a bunch of sneakers and I have a problem and I can admit it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I identify as a dancer. I'm a crumper. And so, yeah, that's kind of how everything else kind of came into place. Crump kind of gave me my place in the world, I believe, and changed my life. So yeah, that's me.
Okay.
All right. I'm Santiago Dangerous, for those of you who don't know me. I started off really as a student. Honestly, I took a whole lane shift and started modeling. I do like my own like small creative work here and there, and I've kind of broadened my horizons as far as getting into directing. And I actually am really into horror, so if anybody wants to do any horror projects, hit me up. I love it. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
This mic is very sensitive, so I learned the lesson. I'm gonna hold it out here. My name's Inertia DeWitt, and I also have a couple other aliases. Some people have seen me perform as American Wonder Woman, if you're local, and that's kind of like a passion project that, as far as like how did I get to where I am, I'm a therapist, and it's been an interesting journey to get here, and I work predominantly doing somatic therapy, really integrating what I learned in the earlier part of my life as a dancer, which I still connect with. But I consider myself a therapist and a performance artist, so I really integrate that in my work. And I'm also an activist, which is what American Wonder Woman is all about. Yeah, how I got there is a long story, so I don't know. I mean, it's a journey. It's definitely been a journey. I started dancing when I was a kid, but when I went to college, I tried modern dance for the first time and was like, holy shit, this is like my jam. Like, this makes so much sense to me. My body just loves it. Like, I loved it so much. And I, like some of the other women that shared, you know, it's kind of like, oh, I was doing business. So I was a business major, dropped that. Just went with dance, ended up getting a master's in dance. And then after that was not interested in dance anymore and basically felt like I went through a divorce, like with the love of my life. It was very painful. Some people understand. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was a really hard time of soul searching and kind of being lost and figuring out what the heck am I here to do. And so for me, that's a spiritual quest. And so not only is my journey getting to, you know, becoming a therapist has been like, all right, this is some weird thing that I think I'm supposed to do that is kind of coming out of left field, that I'm just gonna go with, because what the hell else am I doing with my life? But, you know, going into debt and, you know, being unhappy. So let me just go back to school. Why not? And yeah, really following that spiritual intuition has led me here. And so now I get to integrate all of the things that I learned from the many different lives I've lived so far. Yeah.
I respect that. Okay. So the title of this panel is Self-Love, Self-Awareness, and Self-Empowerment. I wanted to take a moment to define those concepts subjectively. So Fern, how would you define self-awareness?
To me, I feel like self-awareness is obviously just knowing who you are, the good and bad parts of yourself. And I feel like with the topic of just self, a lot of people want to focus so much on the positive, which is great. But I think for me, it's been a journey trying to call out the toxic traits that I have. And I feel we all have them. And if you don't think so, you're lying. So for me, it's been a journey to even get to where I'm at, because like my self-love journey is very complicated, because when I was younger, I was in a nearly fatal car accident. And so at the age of 10, I had reconstructive surgery on my face. So like as a woman or as a girl growing up in a very judgmental society and having what you know as like your identity, your physical identity, and just having that change was completely like devastating for me. I felt like being that young, you kind of go through, you already go through bullying in a natural sense, but really going through that change, I feel like made it 10 times worse. So going through all of that, in hindsight was a blessing for me, because I came out of it knowing who I am and knowing the good and the bad of people, and who's really going to be genuine in your life and who's just really there for the surface. So yeah, self-awareness, just when I was aware of myself, I knew like I could read people better in terms of like who was able to be a part of my life. And I feel like that's such a defining factor for me for that.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. All right. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go. Santiago, do I need this? Okay.
Well, self-awareness probably started for me a couple years after high school. I definitely was going through a tough time, was in a tough relationship, in a tough spot. And not a lot of people are comfortable with themselves. Not a lot of people can be alone. And taking that time to really be comfortable with yourself, acknowledge yourself. You'd like you said, negative traits, positive traits. What is it that you want to change? What is it that you want to become? You really have to take that time to be with yourself. And I took a lot of time to be with myself. I took a lot of time to be with family. I took a lot of time to be with people, you know, that I was inspired by. I wanted to be where they were at. I wanted to do what they were doing. And so I'm just as much as I feel like people are always coming and asking me for advice, I feel like I'm firstly running to them. I'm like, I wanted to know your opinion. I wanted to know what you had to say about it. I like to listen. I love to learn. So if you can give me something to learn, it makes me feel like I can look at the mirror and just see a better image every single day. And it doesn't happen overnight. It definitely doesn't happen overnight. It's been an uphill battle, but I'm here, so.
Yes.
What is self-awareness?
Yeah,
Is that what we're
to you.
asking? Mm-hmm. Yeah, what they said. Yeah, they answered that really beautifully. I feel like that's my life. Like everything that I do kind of revolves around self-awareness. It's been something that I've been mindful of since I was a kid as well, just feeling different than most people. I grew up when it wasn't cool to have natural hair. It wasn't cool to be vegetarian or vegan. It wasn't cool to be into spirituality. And that was how I was raised. And there's certain things that you just have to like, there's character building, right? Like that's just like, well, this is who I am. And you have to kind of take ownership of that. And part of that also is being able to look at yourself and go, wow, you did something that was not cool. And how are you going to like take accountability for that? So yeah, self-awareness, paying attention to yourself, knowing yourself.
So how would you define self-empowerment?
Self-empowerment is embracing the fact that you have power. Every single person has power, right? So embracing that and taking ownership of that, like, yeah, I have power, and I'm gonna use it, and I'm gonna choose how I use it, right? Like, yeah.
Santiago, Fern, did you guys want to add to that?
That's self-empowerment to me. It's taking that oomph that you got inside of you, whatever that is, where however small you feel that light is, you just continue to feed into it, whatever energy you give into it, and just make it brighter and brighter and bigger. And so you're just like, this is me, this is it, this is what I'm doing, and hey, take it or leave it. But some people, you know, even if you're shy, even if you're an introvert, like I was in my room all the time growing up, reading books, watching anime, like not really going to parties, studying, all that other stuff. I got made fun of it, you know, for a lot, but I really immersed myself in my community. I cared about my community. I used to host brown bags to, you know, educate my peers, like about safe sex, educate them about whatever topic that we were wanting to educate them about, because I felt like that was something that was important. Talk about all the things that you didn't want to talk about. So you take all that power in the community and within yourself, and you shine in it because you all shine together.
Self-empowerment to me is just standing like firmly in your truth. So like to me, pretty much to go off of what these ladies said, is just knowing who you are and owning it, and acknowledging that the reason why you're different is to add value to your community. Like there has to be a reason why everybody else is different, so that we can learn from each other and connect with each other and add, again, value to each other. If you didn't have your traits, your story, your traumas, people can't learn from that. And that's the beauty of self-empowerment, is like when you understand it and when you claim it, that's when you take power, because that's the only way. Exactly. Like a really purposeful life is just, you can't be anyone else. Like if you try to, it's either going to show, or if it doesn't, you're going to know it, and at the end of the day, you're not going to be fulfilling like your life, your purpose. That part. Right. Exactly.
Now, self-love, what does that look like to you? What does that feel like to you?
No. Go for it. I would say self-love to me is the process. Taking the time to go through the process of whatever it is that you're trying to do to get to a certain point. If you're trying to get here, then what steps that you're taking to get to there, whether you're working out because you say you want to lose weight, whether you're going through, skincare regimens because, you want clear skin, or you're reading books because you want to feel like you're better at science or better at history or whatever it is. Like, I feel like self-love is really, you're not doing it for anybody else's gratification. You're not doing it to satisfy anybody else. You're really doing it for yourself. It's your own love. Like, at the end of the day, when you go to sleep at night, when you wake up every morning, those first and last thoughts are yours and your own. And wherever you're at and whatever you're doing, like, if you're not giving yourself that energy, if you're not, doing the things that you're saying you want to do to get to the goal that you're trying to get to, then you're taking away from yourself and you're not giving yourself that love. It doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, I'm the baddest thing on the planet, like, because you can be the baddest thing on the planet and it's all up here and it's all in here. So it really is what kind of you define your own love to be, and feed into it as much as you can.
Yeah, I like that you said it's a process. I really resonate with that. It's a process. It's the manner in which we do things, or the way at least I try to do things. And I think it's really about acceptance. It's like when I think of practicing self-love, it's like I want to be tender towards myself. I want to be gentle and firm sometimes, right? Like sometimes love isn't like, oh my God, you poor little baby. Like sometimes it's like, you know what, that wasn't cool. Like sometimes love looks like boundaries, and I think a lot of people forget that sometimes love looks like boundaries with yourself and with others. So to me, it's about being tender. It's about being honest. It's about being accepting.
My self-love, I'm very good at like talking myself up and like, you know, doing a face mask here and there. Like I really used to think self-love was just always like, take a day off, you love yourself. But I think my form of self-love is I'm very critical about myself and my work and my art and what I do. So I think the way I practice it now is just to be, again, like you said, more gentle in the way that I talk to myself. So I always try to, the best piece of advice I ever got was to talk to yourself as if you were talking to your best friend. Because half of the things that I say to myself, like I would never tell my best friend in a million years. And to like have that perspective of like, whoa, like you're treating yourself like shit. Stop. It was a huge game changer for me to just like know that the same way you speak to yourself when you're good, it weighs just the same, or if not heavier, when you speak negatively about yourself when you're really down. So I feel like that's really important. If anyone like is as critical as I am, like be gentle on yourself. Like give yourself some credit. You know, everybody messes up. Just you got to keep going in a gentler way.
So self-love, self-awareness, self-empowerment. When did you discover these concepts? Were they always there, or was there a defining moment or a significant moment in your life where it kind of just hit you in the face and you learned something about it?
To me, it was always a process. Like I said, being 10 years old and just like having your whole life change, like you're just mad. I was so mad. Like I was mad at everybody. I was mad at myself, and like none of it was anybody's fault. So it's like, at what point do you stop poisoning yourself with like all these thoughts that aren't gonna make your life any better? So I think the defining moment was probably like not too long ago. I was probably still in like my early 20s. That it kind of just clicked that if I don't love myself, like I'm really just gonna I'm gonna have to live with myself for the rest of my life. And if I'm not enjoying myself, if I'm not seeing the good in myself, if I'm not thinking highly of myself, like it's just gonna make the experience like a living hell. So, and then talking yourself into it, like it becomes reality. Like you really create your own reality, and your thoughts shape your reality. And the way I see myself now is just completely different. And like, I don't want to deck myself like my 17-year-old self in the face right now. If I could, I'd be like, what are you doing? But again, it's a process. Like it doesn't happen overnight. And, you just got to understand that you have to go through that pain. And I think now when I go through situations where I know it's going to be hard, I always think like it's going to make me a better person. It's just going to suck. Like it's going to suck right now, but I already see the outcome. So like, and I couldn't do that before. But now every situation, every negative situation, I at least know for a fact that the outcome is going to be good, because I can make it good. It's just the in between that's gonna hurt a little bit, but you just always have to be there for yourself in a way that's gonna make every situation the best possible. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Y'all got some powerful ideas up here, man. Making me a little nervous, making me feel like my answers are too simplistic. You know. Sometimes, you know. But I would have to say my moment, like it's fairly recently as well. Putting in all the work that I was putting in, doing these photo shoots, coming up with concepts, building a community of creatives around me, and just, finally it just came like a domino effect. I'm feeling like nothing's working, nothing's producing the results that I wanted it to produce, and then all of a sudden I'm finally like, you know what? I'm just going to do something different. Just one day it just clicked in my head, like, if you have two roads in front of you and every single day you always take the right road and it leads to the same destination, both roads. I was like, you know what? Today I'm going to go on the left road. And I started doing that with a lot of different things that I was doing. Instead of not waking up and doing what I know I should be doing, I'm doing that instead. And when I do, it's a different result. And it may be even small things, like instead of, brushing your teeth first or whatnot, I'm gonna wash my face first. It could be just small things, just altering the energy that you're outputting into the universe. And I started going out and doing the opposite of what I was doing. I was like, just staying in my shell, just staying in here, and then coming to events like this, going to, support my friends at their shows, and stop making the excuse, oh, I'm too tired, I'm too whatnot, and just like, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna support, I'm gonna do all this. And then everyone's just like, I see the work that you're doing, like it's coming out really dope, it's really awesome. And sometimes it's lost in social media. Like a like, doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, like, yeah, I like it, it's cool or whatnot, but like really going in a depth and into what you like about that thing, you really only get that with a face-to-face interaction. And me going out there and linking up with all these people that I'm following, that they're following me, and actually seeing them in real life, it's different from watching it behind a screen. And I think those were my defining moments where I started doing the opposite of what I normally did. And the results were just like, it overwhelmed me at first, because I was just like, I'm sitting here thinking I ain't doing something right. Like, what am I doing that's wrong? And all along, everyone's like, you're not doing anything, like we like what we see, but you kind of, you kind of miss those interactions. And I think that's probably my defining moment. I switched. Instead of taking the right road, I started taking the left road.
Yeah, I have a few moments. I feel like a lot of my defining moments came out of trauma, which I'm not really sure I want to just lay out here tonight. It's late. Y'all want to be excited and feel good, right? But the reality is, feeling like an outsider as a kid, like being 12 years old and having a kid slap me across the face in front of all my friends made me think like, oh, fuck all y'all. Like, I'm not friends with any of you. I can do what I want, right? Like, I don't trust you, and I'm just going to do my own thing. Like, really just draw in and be like, I don't care. I don't need anybody, which wasn't really great, but it got me through that time. And it definitely sparked this like self-empowerment, but kind of in like a spiteful way. And I would say then, different traumas later in my teens and early adulthood, just, loss of a friend, being assaulted, different things that just, again, like catapulted me into like really, I would say, existential, spiritual questions, like what is going on? Like, what is this journey that I'm on, and why am I here? And when you ask those questions, you start getting answers, right? So, really feeling into that self-awareness, that was the biggest thing for me. And I would say self-empowerment kind kind of came in I mean, it's been in my life, but I would say like a defining moment was when I was in my first grad program. I actually found out that I was suffering from PTSD, hence all those traumas that I went through prior. I was like, oh, this makes more sense now why I'm like falling apart. Like, oh, okay, yeah, so there's a name for this, okay. And at that point, really making the decision to put myself first. So like not just self-love, but self-empowerment of like, yeah, like I prioritize health above everything. And that means my physical health, my mental health, my emotional health, my spiritual health. And that means I have to put myself first, because when I was going through treatment, I was like really raw. I don't know if anybody's ever gone to therapy before, but there's a period of time where you can just feel like you're super exposed. And I had to figure out how to set boundaries with family, friends, different things, and make those priorities and set the boundaries and really put myself first, which I think is part of the self-love practice, right? Not necessarily in a way of like, fuck everybody, but like, nah, like I really need to make sure that I'm okay. Because especially now I realize like, if I'm not okay, how could I possibly help anybody? How could I possibly be of service in any way, right? And we were talking about service earlier. I don't know where he's at, but we're all doing service, right? So yeah, I think it's really important. I believe that if I'm in a relationship with anyone, partner, family, friends, and I feel disempowered, then they are disempowered too. Like just by nature of me being disempowered, the relationship is disempowered. So I feel it's really important for me to be empowered, and that means being healthy. So I take that very seriously, and that's kind of been how I got here. But yeah, trauma. It's a catapult, right? It's like exactly.
It keeps going, and just to like go off of that, like my grandfather, he like what he used to say, like basically. A ship full of holes can't take anybody anywhere. So if you're wanting to take you and your community somewhere, you have to repair everything that you need to repair within yourself. You can't love somebody if you can't love yourself. You can't give to someone if you can't give to yourself. Like, that's just what I wanted to add on to that, because it made me think of that.
All right, so last thing. Can we all stand up?
This is how short we all are. No, I'm kidding.
I got love. Yeah.
I want you guys to give your final statement of self-awareness, self-empowerment, self-love. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Go.
Oh, I guess this would be just like a piece of advice type of thing. Like I said before, stand in your truth. Authenticity always wins. And the more you accept yourself, the more the right people will accept you, and the ones that don't will not matter. Like, it won't faze you. So, yeah, that's what I have to give. And love yourself, obviously.
Right. Definitely. Well, first and foremost, I'm very much inspired by this entire event, everyone who's participated, and even everyone just, coming in and dancing in the little dance cipher and everything. Like, the energy in the room is phenomenal. And so first and foremost, this is one of those instances you can take inspiration from others, and really whatever you want to do, whatever it is, no matter how far you think you have to go or how far out of reach it is, like, it's obtainable, and you can do it even if you have to work multiple gears and different avenues. Like, I'm an advocate for that. I've always been the type of person that even if a job doesn't apply for me, I'll hit somebody up and be like, hey, I heard about this job, or I heard about this opportunity. You're dope for this. You're perfect for this. You need to do this. Like, really incorporate each other. Don't just we can't get anywhere if we're always just trying to just be for ourselves and do for ourselves. Like, you will get to where you have to be here because you do have a community around you. We do have a community, and even if you think it's 2 or 3 people or 200 people, we can definitely uplift each other. And I honestly, self-awareness, self-empowerment, it's your own dictation of it. It's your own definition of it. Like, if you want to be an astronaut, if you want to be a cowboy, whatever it is that you want to do, like, you can do it. It can be done. Just like rock it, like rock out with your cock out, man. Do it.
Dedication. So sometimes I teach youth workshops about embodying courage, confidence, and compassion. So this is like a little piece from that. But if you wouldn't mind also standing. Yeah. Cool. So usually I have everybody individually do this, but you know, that's not going to work tonight. So if I could, there's a two-part. Part one is claiming who you are, declaring who you are. And it's really simple, and you've probably done it a million times, but I want to invite you to do it like intentionally and consciously with confidence, not just in your voice, but in your body, and actually like hold your body up with confidence, which means your heart is lifted, your eyes are open, you're seeing. And maybe you turn to somebody, or maybe you just say it out loud, but I want you to say, I am, and then your full name, like full name. Okay, don't skip the middle names, names, whatever. Don't skip the extra last names, right? I had a student, she had like literally 10 names. I was like, yeah, say it. Own it, because there's something really powerful about saying who you are. So I'm going to say it in the mic, but I would love you guys to join me in just saying I am and then your full name. Yeah? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. I am Inertia QED DeWitt. Awesome. Okay, part 2. Can I do part 2? Okay, now that we're like warmed up, I have a little call and response, okay? I'll go slow so you can hear what I'm saying. Maybe we need a beat. What you gonna do with all that power? Oh, let's try it again. What you gonna do with all that power? Okay, we need to try this again.
Hey, y'all better turn up.
Right? You're gonna say the whole thing. Okay, bad teacher. My bad. So I'm gonna say, what you gonna do with all that power? Then you say, what you gonna do with all that power? Yeah? Okay. All right, ready? My bad. That's my bad. I said bad teacher. Okay, so here we go. Ready? What you gonna do with all that power? What you gonna do with all that power? It's your time, baby. It's your hour. It's your time, baby. It's your hour. What you gonna do when they make you wanna cower? Gotta make a move. It's never or nower. Okay, so what you gonna do with all that power? What you gonna do with all that power? It's your time, baby. It's your hour. It's your time, baby. It's your hour. What you gonna do when they make you wanna cower? What you gonna do when they make you wanna cower? Gotta make a move. It's never or nower. 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 Thank you, guys.
Can we please give these ladies a round of applause one more time?